Okay, let's begin. We'll call the meeting of MTA Bridges and Tunnels Committee to order. Are there any public comments?
No, they're not.
None? Nobody likes us. They like Long Island this morning, but nobody likes us. Okay. We have the minutes from the June 2008 meeting. Any comments, questions on the minutes? None?
Frank,
Yes, we are pleased.
his name on
Yeah,
the,
yeah. Frank was always an integral part of this committee, represented not only the people of Staten Island, but the people of this entire region with grace and dignity and compassion and great interest and humor all the time. And we will miss him dearly. All of us will. Miss him dearly. Andrew, you want to move it second? No? All in favor? Aye. Work plan. Mr. Moretti.
Thank you. Regarding the work plan, there are no changes for future meetings, but this month we've added 3 items. One's an information item on the amendment to the 2005 to 2009 capital program. We also have an executive session on the labor matter, and we'll briefly cover the July financial plan on the slide. Okay, on page 15, the report on operations. Like last month, I have a short presentation that I'd like to give you that updates traffic information through the July 4th weekend. In the book, it's only through May at this point in time.
Okay.
So let's start with the first presentation. Okay. There we are. Okay. If we look at monthly traffic volume over the last 2 years, ending in June, you'll see that from May to June now we've had 2 months of significant decline in traffic. In June, traffic was 25.6 million crossings, which is down from the 27 million crossings that we had in June of 2007. If we look at the traffic volume on an average day, which helps smooths out the leap year this year, you'll see that June traffic this year is 854,000 crossings. That compares to 899,000 crossings that we had in June of 2007. This now brings us to 8 consecutive months of traffic decline. The year-to-year decline widened a bit from May to June. The May decline was roughly 4.7% year-to-year. June decline was 5%. On the next slide, you see gas prices. As we all know, gas prices are obviously increasing. We still continue to set records. $4.19 per gallon is the U.S. monthly average. This is a quarter higher than May. May's average was $3.94. And the change in gas prices has affected our traffic. Since November, gas has ranged from 61 cents per gallon higher year to year in April to $1.03 per gallon in June. And that's resulted in a decline in our bridge and tunnel traffic, as you can see here, all throughout. That decline accelerated in May and June when gas prices approached and surpassed $4 per gallon.
Dave?
Yes.
Do you see that decline in all times of the day, or just the discretionary, say, off-peak travel, or?
We haven't actually gotten into the day of the week and even the facility yet. That's something that we're going to spend the rest of the summer doing, so when we get back together in September, if the trends are continuing, we can report a little bit more on. That requires a lot of further analysis, but you'll see some interesting trends here in a moment. Okay. These are our cash customers. Over the last 8 months, where I reported before that traffic has been down. This is consistent with that report. If you look at April, May, and June, this drop is pretty steady. We're at about a 7.7% decline over the last 3 months in the cash customer. If we look at Easy Pass customers, last month was the first month of significant decline here. Now we've had 2 months in a row of significant decline in Easy Pass. If you look at it year to year, in May the drop was 3.6%, and in June it was 4.1%. So the gap is widening a bit, 0.5% more. If we look at cars versus trucks, let's take cars. Daily car traffic continued to decline since November. It's pretty consistent. In May, the gap again widened a bit from 37,000 in May to 42,000 fewer vehicles per day when you compare month to month, year to year. Okay. On trucks, last month we had seen a zigzag on trucks. Unfortunately, it's the second month in a row of decline. I guess if you're looking for good news, the decline is less than it was in the previous month. The drop was only 5.3% versus a drop of over 7% in May. In there. Taking a look at weekday traffic, year-to-year decrease in weekday traffic continued, and it widened a bit here from June to June, from May to May. The decline in May was a little over 4%. The decline in June was 5%.
The fact that that's on the upswing reflects the busier summer travel time? Is that what?
Well, I don't believe so. I think what it's reflecting, if you go back to the Easy Pass traffic, it's reflecting the drop in Easy Pass traffic, who you would think would be primarily your weekday customers. I think what's happened is in May and June, when prices of gas reached or almost reached and surpassed $4, Easy Pass customers were for the first time affected by the higher gas prices. You see earlier in the cash customers in April, they were affected first, and their drop is still bigger than Easy Pass.
Yeah.
Okay, on the weekends, the decline in weekend crossings continued. Maybe there's some good news here, but the drop in June is slightly less than it was here in May. It was 46,000 per day in May, and it's only 40,000 in June. Okay, this kind of summarizes what happened in June. We have 5 ranges over here. If you look at what's happened is there's been a shift downward from the higher level to the lower level, so that when you look at this 850,000 and greater, 3 groups, last year we had 27 days where traffic in June was 850,000 crossings or greater. This year it's only 15. So there's been a marked shift downward to the lower range, between less than 800,000 and 850,000 and less. So there are obviously many fewer people traveling. This was something we talked about last month, which was heavy traffic days. Last year we had 51 in total. We had 26 through June. This year we only have 7. And on top of it, the 7 that we are recording are actually less than the same day a year ago. They were 3.7% less. So even though we're reaching 900,000 on those days, it's still lower than what we had experienced the year before. All right, July 4th. We looked at it 2 different ways because it's a difficult holiday to judge this year. Last year it fell on a Wednesday, and this year it fell on a Friday. And travel patterns are very different on those days, which is why I think you'll see that traffic is higher this year versus last year. Interesting, when I was preparing my notes, if you're a betting person, 76 on the 4th of July is maybe an omen of some kind. I don't know if we want to run out to Belmont, but 7 and 6 there. It's like 1776. But on the other hand, if you look at the entire week, the first 7 days, which although there are different 7 days from 1 through 7, but they still include the same week, traffic is down almost 4%. Yeah, I think you... Absolutely right. People, that's a getaway day for people. Fridays are always getaway days, and the holiday, it's true as well. So that's why the July 4th period was, the day itself was up, and the week was down.
If in fact people were going away, wouldn't they have gone on Thursday?
Well, that's conceivable, sure. But
how was the Thursday before this 3-day weekend?
I don't have that data.
That should have been way up.
I don't have that information, but I can certainly get back to you. So overall, we're seeing the continued trend of the lower traffic from May and June. It's slightly worse overall in June, but it's not doubling, but it's still growing a bit. And we're seeing the continued drop in Easy Pass, which is our real core customer. So anyway, that's the traffic report for this month. If you have any questions, we'll be glad to try to answer them.
Questions on the report? And you're going to provide in September a more detailed analysis by type and facility if possible?
Yeah, we're going to try to look at the facilities, and we're also going to be looking at what you talked about is the commutation period, the hour to hour.
Right.
To see if it's affecting, we're going to break the segment down, let's say weekday Easy Pass, which we haven't done yet.
Okay.
And cash, and that might help us start determining what the real impact is on the weekday.
Because I assume, as you said, the cash customer is the more discretionary customer, we would assume.
Yes.
And the Easy Pass customer is the person who has to, or we assume has to get to and from where they're going, and obviously some of those people now are finding another mode.
Right.
Or they're not going.
Yeah, I mean, the other
One
thing,
or the other.
Right. The other thing about cash customers, might be the one who could be economically affected first.
Yeah.
And the fact that it dropped off almost, and it's consistent, 7.7% over 3 months, I think that answers that.
Okay.
Okay. If we're done with the report on operations, we can
Well,
turn.
Dave.
Yes.
There's been a, concomitant increase in the usage of various transit facilities and the commuter rails.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously some people are switching.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's
yes.
not entirely a bad thing.
Oh, not at all.
But that's why I think the analysis by facility will assist in that, because
Yes.
some of the facilities are more commuter facilities than others
Exactly.
ones are. That's
And-
why we
and-
would be
and
interested in that.
discretionary versus
Right.
the rush hours and that sort of
Yes.
thing.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. Page 19 is our Easy Pass report. In May, there were 19.2 million Easy Pass transactions across our facilities, which was 74% of all transactions. Weekday market share was 76.6%. Weekend market share was 68.9%. Year-to-date, during the weekday period, 88% of trucks used Easy Pass, so that's 7 out of 8 trucks. It's pretty incredible, I think. Easy Pass accounts at the end of May were 1.78 million. The number of active tags for those accounts was 3,021,000. Also in May, we began handing out Easy Pass applications to cash customers at selective locations. We started with the Triborough Bronx and the Bronx Whitestone bridges. Recently, we distributed applications at the Rockaways, and we plan on handing out applications this month at the Henry Hudson Bridge. I just want to point out one thing to you, because you might, when you look at this report further, you'll see what might look like an anomaly. On page 21, there's 2 tables. The bottom table represents transactions taken by our Easy Pass customers on somebody else's roadway. So, for example, the New York State Thruway received 2,415,098 transactions from MTA Easy Pass customers during the month of May. Those were posted to their accounts by our records. Now, if you go down and compare the Thruway year to year, you'll see that May of 08 was less than May of 07. You'll see that the Bridge Authority the same and the Port Authority the same. When you get to New Jersey, though, you'll see it increased, and there's a couple other that increased. And we're trying to research this, but right now, from what we can confirm from our records, we believe that it's a posting problem. It tends to be that transactions that should have been posted in May got posted in June. When we look at June of 07, it seemed extremely high for some of these other agencies. So it's not that more people are traveling on New Jersey. It's just when the transactions are sent to us and we post them to the account, there might be a day or 2 lag, and they fall into one month versus the other. So it's just a distribution. And when you think about it logically, there are fewer of our customers going over the Port Authority facility, so how could you get more people traveling
Right.
on New Jersey toll roads?
Right.
It's sort of counterintuitive, and which is what leads us to believe that it's more of a posting problem, just in case.
A lot of the folks who were using the P&T facilities have decided to go to New Jersey instead.
Let's hope
Gas
not.
is cheaper.
Well, maybe. But that's a long trip to go on the New Jersey Turnpike to get cheaper gas. I would hope our customers have a little more sense.
16 or,
Yeah, maybe. You have to pay a toll, though.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions on the Easy Pass report?
Nope.
Okay, we'll turn to page 29. We have our financial report. For May, we had total revenues of $115.4 million. Toll revenues accounted for 98% of those revenues. For the month, our revenues were $4.2 million below budget, due primarily to lower toll revenue from lower traffic. Year-to-date revenues were $527.4 million, or $1.2 million below budget. Lower year-to-date toll revenues are being partially offset by higher-than-planned income at the Brooklyn Battery Garage. Expenses before depreciation in May were $29.9 million, or $2.6 million below the budget. The variance was primarily caused by the timing of expenses for maintenance and other operating contracts, professional services, and insurance. Year-to-date spending before depreciation was $147.9 million, or 11.9 below plan. Support to mass transit through May was $310.7 million, or $16.8 million above the budget. That's the financials through May.
So our contribution to mass transit is still running above.
Yes.
But that is clearly going to be threatened in the months ahead.
Yes, right,
I
absolutely.
mean, by the lower number of people who take the bridges and tunnels, the smaller amount of money we then contribute to the mass transit systems.
Right, that's the flip side of what Andrew was referring
Right.
to before. More people taking mass transit's good, but at the same time, it reduces the subsidy.
It's a subsidy. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. Now, we have one slide that I just want to kind of run through with you. It has to do with our July financial plan. Okay. As you know, at the board meeting this month, Lee Sander will be giving you a presentation on the July financial plan. We've put together this slide to summarize how we'll be meeting our financial plan target. I should start off by saying that the plan complies with the guidelines set by the MTA. There's no compromise to maintenance or employee customer safety and security. There are no reductions in service. There are no changes to crossing charges and fees, and there are no layoffs. All adjustments to our financial plan netted out to $26.2 million, which is $3.6 million better than the target that we were given, which was $22.6 million over the planned period. To reach the reduction target, we applied underruns of $11.8 million, which were a result of general ledger codes not fully spent in 2007. We increased our financial plan to add resources to operate a renovated building on Randall's Wards Island when office space under the Triborough roadway is eliminated when that roadway construction reaches that point, and this all takes effect here in the year 2011 and 12, very far out in the plan. We had a combination of reestimates of increases and decreases that resulted in a $16 million favorable variance that we applied to our target. We also eliminated 3 positions through PEGs for a reduction of $1.2 million over 4 years starting in 2009. And finally, our plan will reflect the elimination of positions and money when the Business Service Center opens in the year 2011. There's a $5.8 million reduction that's been given to us that we've included in the plan. So that's pretty much how our expenses are shaping up. We were able to meet the target, actually exceeded a bit. If you have any questions,
Okay.
I'll try to answer them.
Any questions? No? Okay.
On to the capital report. It's on page 39. Through June, Bridges and Tunnels committed $31.6 million against a plan of $173.8. The details of the June commitments are in your committee package. Our year-to-date commitments are $142 million short of plan. We have 2 construction projects that total $126 million. The first for the rehab of Building 104 on Wards Island, the building I was referring to before, and the other for the replacement of concrete decks at the Throgs Neck Bridge for $66 million. Both of those add up to 126 and make up most of the shortfall. The Throgs Neck project was bid, and award documents are being processed, so we're optimistic that's hitting very shortly. Building 104 is now expected to be awarded in September, so we're hoping by September this variance will be virtually eliminated. Completions through June are $50.5 million, slightly below our plan, and closeouts, we had $5.7 million, increasing the year-to-date closeouts to $211.2 million. That's the capital program status report.
Okay.
Okay. We have an amendment, the amendment I mentioned before. It's
Yep.
an information item for you. It's the 2005-2009 capital program amendment. Bridges and Tunnels capital program increases from $1,202 million to $1,209 million, reflecting the transfer of $7 million in closeouts from prior capital programs. Overall, the program objectives remain consistent with the approved plan. In this amendment, 1 new project is added for structural steel repairs at the Verrazano Narrows Bridge, totaling $11 million. In addition, 18 projects received additional funds totaling $131 million due to revised project estimates based on design completion, high bids, or revised project scopes. In order to fund the projects and other cost increases in the program, 7 projects totaling $43 million were deferred or deleted. In addition, 26 projects, including program contingency, were reduced, releasing $92 million to fund other priorities. That summarizes our amendment. If you have any questions, we're here to answer them.
Can you just give us a little more detail on the structural steel repairs at the Verrazano, why it's been added now?
It was, I'll have Tom do that, but it was a result of our biennial inspection in 2007. And Tom?
That's essentially correct. And we thought this would be the right time to get it done, and so we're going to tackle it.
Okay. And a completion date on that?
It should be about an 18-month project.
18-month project? Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, if there are no other questions, we're on to procurements. On
Yep.
page 63, we have 7 procurements this month totaling $32.4 million. We have 1 non-competitive procurement with John W. Fisher and Associates in the amount of $400,000 over a duration of 3 years for the provision of as-needed independent expert technical advisory services on a variety of structural systems and issues that arise in connection with our bridges. Your approval is required.
So move on the non-competitive. Any questions on the non-competitive? Nancy, you second?
I sec, sorry.
All in favor? Aye?
Let me just
Just-
have 2
okay.
seconds. I was
Right there.
being rude.
That's quite all right.
I second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye? Okay.
We have 5 competitive procurements. The first is a miscellaneous procurement contract with Cassetta Technologies in the amount of $28,631,985 for a period of 4 years. The contractor will maintain and repair all hardware and software components of the electronic toll registry system at B&T facilities. The second is a miscellaneous service contract with Precision Motor Works Incorporated in the amount of $107,084 to perform overhauling, refurbishing, and rewinding of electrical fan motors at the 2 tunnels over a period of 3 years. The third is a miscellaneous service contract with Continental Lift Truck Incorporated in the amount of $71,250 to perform maintenance and repair of our off-road heavy-duty vehicles as well as other associated equipment at our facilities for a period of 2 years. The fourth is a modification to a competitively awarded public work contract with American Bridge in the net amount of $880,652.52. Yes.
When is that work likely to commence?
The American Bridge? You mean this particular amendment? I don't know, Tom, do you have the answer to that?
The construction's ongoing now, Commissioner, so it will commence shortly.
Oh, so it's going to go through the summer.
Yes.
Is it all hours? I mean, is it just,
The work we're doing at Marine Park is essentially off the roadway. It's largely above the deck. Some of these repairs are below, but there's been very little effect on traffic since the very early spring.
I was just thinking of, the Rockaway traffic in the summer.
Okay. The fifth is a modification to a competitively awarded miscellaneous procurement contract with BCC Associates in the amount of $1,930,264 for the contractor to continue to provide revenue counting services through August 1st, 2009. Those are 5 competitive procurements that require...
Any questions on any of the competitive procurements? So move.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Okay. And finally, we have a ratification to a competitively bid public work contract with Wellsback Electric that requires the contractor to furnish, install, integrate, and test a closed-circuit television camera system and fiber optic equipment at various facilities. This contract is being modified for a final reconciliation of estimated quantities based on actual field conditions, resulting in a net increase of $374,245.40.
Any questions on this one? Andrew? No?
Same problem.
Yeah. Understand. So move.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Okay, and then we have a need to go into executive session to discuss a
Okay.
labor matter.
We'll move to go into executive session. Second.
Thank you.
And then we will adjourn. There'll be no further public activity unless we have to vote on that publicly, do we not? We have to come back to do that?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
come back.
Okay, so we will reconvene in public session. So move you second to go into executive session?
Yes.
All in favor, aye. Okay.